Hi everybody, my name is Kira,
Hi, I'm Tom.
and this video is going to be part 2 of our memory wellbeing workshop. And thank you for coming back. We hope you enjoyed part 1 and we're looking forward to getting stuck into part 2. So yeah, here we go. So let's talk a little bit about how to make memory work a bit better for you. Tom, would you like to start?
To make memory work better for you is visualization. This is a big complicated name, but it's seeing in your mind's eye. Make a picture in your mind's eye of the event you're going to do and seeing it work for you. That's an aspect we'll cover later on in the process. But seeing it work for you makes it so much more effective for learning and also memory. I'd say pictures are 1,000 words. So it's more clearer, you can remember it far more easier. Okay.
Exactly, Tom. Exactly. And I think that's exactly what we're saying as well with memory games. Like that's a brilliant way to kind of get your mind used to memory and like try, and the more you do something, the better you get at it. So the better like times, the more you practice it and stuff, the easier it is. So yeah, memory games is a great tool.
Absolutely. Your memory becomes more tuned to be memorizing things.
Exactly, Tom.
And so another aspect is chunking information in smaller sizes, like telephone numbers, for example. It's like looking at rather than trying to remember like 8-digit, 12-digit number, breaking them to threes. 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Exactly, Tom.
Easy to remember.
Exactly. And then you quite like the multi-sensory stuff, don't you, Tom? But it's kind of just it's using like your sight, your hearing, your feeling, your taste, and your smell, just to kind of make connections and just to make memory work a little bit better for you. So, Tom, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because I know you like it.
Oh yeah, it's like if you imagine it's like a whole big stadium, like a rock concert, and it's hundreds of people. You look for one person like a memory. You look for one person, it's thousands of people there. And can you find it? But I don't know if it is. So use your senses, seeing, hearing, feeling around the bit there. So with a one person coming here, ask them to wear a red jacket. And can you see them? No. So you ask people around about them, the red jacket, to wear blue jackets. Can you see them? No, not quite. And person in the blue jackets to wear yellow jackets. And person around there to wear orange jackets. Then you go up, there. The more details which your sensory organs use, like seeing, hearing, feeling, taste, and smell, the more chance you're remembering by far. You can stand out more. You trying to remember one connection, it doesn't work. But more connections, it's so much easier.
Exactly, Tom. It definitely is just creating a flow and creating the connections, like you're saying. So that's brilliant advice. Thank you, Tom. And I think going on from that, like having a flow is kind of like linked to routines, because like if you have a routine for something, if you have like, for example, if you go shopping every Monday, then your memory kind of get used to that, and like you kind of remember on Monday, oh, today's a shopping day, because your brain's got adjusted and like your body's adjusted to this being a shopping day on a Monday. So yeah, having a set routine and a set structure can make a world of difference.
Oh, Kira, that's see the whole thing about having routines. That's so effective in memories. Because if you know particular things working right day, the things stand out easy to remember by. But there's two all new things, too much information coming in there. So
no, exactly,
that's a
Tom.
good one, Kira. Good one.
Thanks, Tom. It's very, very true. Very true.
Okay. And of course, this is a good one. Reduce multitasking. What it means is like, when you ask to remember things, don't have television on the background. Don't have other folk conversations going at the same time. It's impossible. Too much information flying about. Kettle going in the background and stuff, things like that. So even when you're there, if you're nearby Main Street, so much cars going past, try
Mhm.
and go somewhere with quieter, less function
Exactly.
happening.
I think it's again what we were saying, just trying not to overwhelm yourself and just taking things bit by bit, and then it'll make it so much easier than having all of this
Yeah.
information in one go. So thank you, Tom. So now I think we're going to talk a little bit about practical tools, which you love, Tom, don't we? We love practical tools. So let's think about how to make the memory stand out to you. So this is kind of what Tom was like touching on earlier, is just like using your senses. So using like your sight to help, using like your hearing and your feeling to help make memory a bit more defined. So you mentioned that earlier, didn't you, Tom? Kind of like how to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. I used an example there was using seeing in your mind's eye, like a camera, for example, it's like when I was studying, if I remember a particular thing, making L stand out on top of a big hill, big red L, someone sitting on it. So that the more sensory organs produce it, makes it stand out more. Or hearing it,
Mhm.
making the voice clear in my mind, so it's very crystal clear what it comes out. And if you're not too sure, ask for more details. Ask again, so clear in mind. And feeling, I feel right. If you don't get that gut feeling, that's a warm feeling inside yourself. To remember by the warm feeling, always works well. So now you're going to talk about more of the material use, more clearer.
Exactly, Tom. I think the material that we use is very, very important because you need to have material that is clear, because you need to understand it to be able to help remember it, because there's no point in trying to help like yourself remember something that you just don't really understand.
Yeah.
So if it's nice and clear and it's broken into little chunks, then you'll be able to take it in. And if you repeat this to yourself, that can help you remember. So for a phone number, for example, that's a really good example in this case. So if we break a phone number up into little chunks and then we repeat that to ourselves over in the little chunks, your brain will get used to it and it'll be just a much easier way for you to help remember it rather than trying to remember something that's really long and over complex.
And you know, Kira, that's good, a very good way of doing it. Also, remembering the first letter coming in like a 6, make it bold.
Yep.
Make the 7, the next one, make it more of a different color, make it more of a change happening from it. Make it stand out to you. Now, see everything got memorized. Memorizing has to be dead quick. It can, if you start off first, it take a long time to go through it all, and eventually it becomes easier and easier and easier to come by. Especially if you're remembering something longer, it's worth taking time to make it stand out in your mind, rather than just expect to happen, just look at what would happen.
Exactly, Tom. It's impossible. Like you have to take the time, like what you're saying. Exactly. And like what we mentioned again earlier, just cut down on all the distractions. Like try not to have all these background interferences because it can just be too overwhelming. Exactly what you said, Tom. Like if you're sitting trying to work out like in the house and you hear all these cars like going by, then you're going to feel overwhelmed and not be able to concentrate as well. So it's definitely important to just go somewhere quiet and try and just focus on yourself and focus on the task that you're doing, because that can make a world of difference. What do you think, Tom?
And have a strategy for memory.
Mhm.
That's a good one. Because
Exactly.
we all have strategies for doing everything, particularly memorizing things.
Mhm.
You find, particularly if you listen to folk in a particular way, they remember doing it in that version of it. That makes a big, big difference. But if you go in, like for example, it's like I said to you before about going shopping, you may, in the supermarket, you may go down a particular way of doing things, down certain aisles. So that's one way of remembering. So at least I remember bananas. So after the third row, I come to bananas, I can see it there. Coming from there.
Okay, Tom.
So
Thank you very much.
very important.
So just to kind of go on a little bit more about practical tools, is visualizing just what we've mentioned before, really, isn't it, Tom? Just making it clear that visualizing is so important. Very, very
It's
important.
yeah, you're right, Kira. It's very effective
Exactly.
visualization.
So you gave us some brilliant examples as well, Tom, in that. So I think we can move on a little bit to self-talk now. So self-talk is very important too. It's just how you kind of speak to yourself, and the way that you treat yourself and allowing yourself to take that time out if you need to. Because like what we were saying, Tom, it can be so overwhelming sometimes that you might just need to think, I need 10 minutes away from this, at least to just try and gather myself and then go back to it.
That's so true, Kira.
Mhm.
Just time out.
Yeah, and it's okay, Tom, to do that, isn't it? Like, it's
Yeah,
just as humans,
100%. Yeah.
we're our own worst
Do it
enemies.
anytime you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I think we all try and push ourselves to the maximum, but we just need to cut it off before it gets to the point where we get really upset and really overwhelmed, and just give it a go again later.
And the thing is, Kira, how are you going to appear to other folk?
Exactly, Tom. Exactly. So
I
do you want to
suppose
speak?
what you do a job right to, that's big time later on. So,
Exactly, Tom. So would you like to speak a little bit about making up a story, perhaps?
well, that's good and make up a story. There's lots of different tools you can use. It's like, for example, it's like a room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you come in the door, it's like imagine hanging up your coat. You have to remember a coat, your particular type of coat. So you hang it up there, and then you go back down, lovely staircase down to the sitting area. And we sit there, and you notice a book there. You love reading it on that couch, so comfortable. You have to remember a book's name and content of it. And of course, you just want to take your shoes off at that point. Just feel relaxed then. So remembering shoes instead of things like that. That's the way to do it. And also, if you do it, you make a story to it.
Mhm.
Because when you make a story to it, it becomes less important in your mind. The fact goes for having to remember. Don't need so much pressure. If you remember it, it's like the one time was that we went on a journey across the Clyde in a ferry. And we were all packed. We had to be there at a specific time, 8:30. And when we went aboard, the three of us there. It was a good time. It's a good fun going, have enjoyment.
Mhm.
And then so all packed our bags neatly, all prepared our sandwiches for later on for the dinner time. Had to remember dinner. And also all things walking poles, for example, maybe an essential part of it. And also raincoats and trousers, just in case your brain is later on, just to make sure. So it's making stories, all things to remember from there, coming from there.
Exactly, Tom.
Big difference.
And I think a great way of doing it is what you mentioned, I think, in part one, Tom, was about using an essential oil and a hanky to help with your memory.
That's very, very good. Because it comes with 3 different processes: remembering, storage, and retrieval. By using the essential oil, it focuses on encoding the information and then retrieving it. All the similar same, it becomes so much easier. Very, very effective.
Great,
And of
Tom.
course, you mentioned later on about being relaxed. Being
Yes.
relaxed.
Relaxing, I think, is again one of the core things that we encourage everybody to do, because when you relax, it opens up the possibilities to help you retrieve information. Because if you're really stressed and really wound up, your brain kind of goes into a panic mode of being like, no, I can't take any more information
Yeah.
in. Like, it's too overwhelming.
Oh,
So,
well.
like, I know exactly what it is. It's just too much in one go. So I definitely think if you're relaxed, it allows you to kind of just be very calm and retrieve information into your brain. So I think it's a brilliant way to help
Yeah,
with your memory. So Tom, would you like to talk a little bit about today's homework task, please?
Okay, the same homework task as last time. Go back over it, and if you find it again, information stand out to you, write it down. Write down all the most important information to you, so stand out more. And also good with learning it. Good with learning
Exactly,
it too.
Tom. Thank you. And yeah, just
And
what Tom was saying,
yeah.
just to try and work out what's best for you, because some might work for some people and some might not. So it's just a trial and error to see what works for you. So, and so
Okay.
just to finish off a little bit about a summary. So we've covered kind of what memory is, and we've tried to help understand the types, the state, encoding, storage, and retrieval that's involved in memory. And Tom, do you want to talk a little bit more?
John, that's a very good point you said there earlier on about states, about including storage and retrieval. Because I remember that. Folks say, oh, I remember that. People say, no, you want not the stage you're in.
Exactly, Tom, it's true.
That's one thing. The stage you're in, how you encode it and
Mhm.
retrieve it, makes a huge big difference to remember by. Big
Exactly,
difference.
Tom.
And that also makes memory stand out in encoding it.
Exactly, and just making sure it's like clear
Yeah.
is what we're saying, Tom, as well. Isn't it? Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
so
And of course, having tools you prefer to help you remember is very, very important. We're going to list things to use, but find out maybe in particular things visualizing your mind, or just from the relaxation,
Mhm.
or speaking to yourself in a particular way makes you do things better.
exactly, Tom.
It's basically what suits you the best, go for it.
Exactly, like exactly what Tom said. Just trying to figure out what works for you, and then trying to incorporate that in your everyday life. So I think that's all from us today then, Tom, if you're
Okay.
happy with that. But thank you so much for watching this video and sticking around for part 2. If you haven't already seen part 1, that should be up now too. And we hope that we gave you some tools to help you understand memory a little bit better. So thank you very much,
Ciao.
and hope we'll see
Ciao,
you next
ciao.
week. Bye.